Alright, so what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, man. It's your boy, and it's been a very long time, too long for me to remember in my old age, that we are seeing a full update accompanied by maintenance time in December. Usually we get mid-months, 2 of them, to push us into January, and that's when we get the full update. This time around, that's not the case. However, it's also a big one because we're getting not 1, not 2, but 3 tier 4s at the same time, presumably. Like, it's actually crazy. Couple fan favorites in here, definitely gonna be tier 4 at least one of these guys. Definitely myself. I want to hear from you guys in the comments. But Hawkeye, Bullseye, Sharon Rogers, and Gambino, oh boy, getting new uniforms and tier 4s. Now, Sharon Rogers already had her tier 4, and honestly, it's a skip tier 4 unless they do something major next year, because you don't need a blast female. Honestly, because of that, I think a lot of people are going to skip over the seasonal for Sharon Rogers, but I think they might make her useful this year because of what they said in the developer note, where they're going to be adding possibly new seasons to ABX/ABL. So I think that's kind of why they decided this time around to not even try to make the paywall seasonal uniform a support character. They gave it to Sharon Rogers, who's always a burst DPS monster, but Sharon Rogers is the kind of character that accumulates based on being hit to then do a bunch of damage, but that's never been great for stuff like alliance battles. So I'm not sure if, honestly, buying the uniform for her is going to result in her taking over any days in the future ABX/ABL game mode that's coming. We'll see, but it's up to you if you want to buy it. Let's talk about the Wastelanders. First up, we got Hawkeye coming in. Chain hit damage on the uniform looks good, with 100% chance to increase its critical damage by 50%. Now, this is exactly the same as what he had last time, with the exception that they increased the chain hit damage by 5%. He's also keeping the immunity to guard break that he had previously. Moving on, we have his tier 2 and 4-star passives, which looks very similar to what he had last time. 30% critical damage, 30% guaranteed dodge, and skill damage and bonus damage 35-30. This is exactly the same as his previous uniform. And then we got the guaranteed critical rate on his 4-star passive, 35%, same as last time. 40% ignore dodge, same as last time. The penetration, say it with me now, same as last time. So nothing changed here, like all we've seen so far between the uniform bonus and the 2 passives. 5% chain hit damage. Moving on, we have a first skill, not really anything to write home about. Second skill, nothing to write home about. We got burn and paralysis in there, cool. Third skill, we got iframe ignore, and it is a V-pad skill. That is kind of clutch, honestly. He already had the iframe ignore. It was also a counter attack skill, but now it has a V-pad on there and a 40% heal. So they doubled the heal. Last time it was 20%, now it's 40%. So that's really good. The cooldown time is staying exactly the same as last time. Take from that what you will. We got burn, chill, poison, bleed, stun, freeze, and paralysis. A lot of different effects here. That's pretty cool on the 4th skill there. 80% proc, say it with me now, same as last time. Cooldown time, say it with me now, same as last time. However, the additional damage is definitely being increased from 67% to 530, sorry, not 67%, 67 to 537. And the physical damage percentage was 60 before, now it's 100%. Moving on, we got burn, stun, and he decreases enemies' defenses. Not really useful for anything really these days outside of Shadowland. We got invincibility here, which is actually pretty useful, but he had that already. He also had a frenzy buff, who was giving him 50, 10, and 20. So it's same as last time. You're also keeping the incapacitation. So not really any big changes for Hawkeye here. I think it might just be like a visual change for him. We'll have to wait and see, because honestly, I'm looking at the kit, and even though he has iframe ignore, not having damage reduction, I don't think he's gonna last in PvP, whether it's otherworld battle or timeline battle. So you would be tier 4ing him primarily for GBR, which we're not getting a new one. This is part of the reason why I didn't even bother talking about the dev note, because GBR is something that we desperately need the new one of. They're telling me, oh, we're gonna bring in more world bosses. Bro, I'm tired of world bosses. Like, cool, they're cool for like a month, but after that I'm just like, what's next, bro? Another world boss and another, you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, like, give us a freaking new GBR. Stop being lazy. Anyways, moving on, we got Bullseye, which I really like this uniform, how it looks for him. But let's talk about how effective it's going to be for him. So he's getting critical damage 30%, all attack 35%, and chain hit damage 15%. All of this very, very good. His last uniform bonus anyways was giving him only 25% all attack. So I'll take all of these, especially the chain hit damage when attacking, the fact that it's there all the time, no cooldown, no nothing, over 25% all attack, definitely. Moving on, we got his tier 2 passive. His tier 2 passive previously gave him 50% ignore dodge and 30% skill damage and 15% bonus damage. So now we get guaranteed critical rate, which is huge, especially since he's a speed super villain. So more than likely he's going to be at least useful for one day, probably replacing Gwenpool. We will have to wait and see. Otherwise, not too sure where his value is going to lie. But guaranteed critical rate, perfect for CTP of rage. The 50% ignore dodge is still there, and the skill damage and bonus damage jump in 10% here and a whopping 30% here for the bonus damage, which is huge. Next up, we got his 4-star passive, which is being kept the same. Moving on, first skill, silence. That's primarily for ABX/ABL, whatever. Second skill, we got incapacitation paralysis. That's kind of an ABX/ABL type of thing. Burn ABX/ABL. Third skill, 40% all attack. That's good. However, his previous third skill was already giving him 35% attack and 35% critical rate, so he's losing the critical rate buff there, but he gets 5% more attack. This skill previously had an 18-second cooldown, so it's being dropped down to 16. That's actually pretty good. Moving on to the fourth skill, we got 30% HP recovery, which is really good because Bullseye previously could not heal. That was his biggest flaw. No heal in the kit, so 30% is definitely a big change. And we also get invincibility, a 100% damage proc, which is good. We didn't have that on the 4th skill previously. Moving on to the 5th skill, we have some burn in here, which is good for alliance battle. And pretty much what they did here is they moved the frenzy buff that he had on his previous uniform on the 3rd skill to the 5th skill, and they increased it ever so slightly. They put on 10% more. So previously the frenzy buff that he had on his 3rd skill was 30%, rather 35% attack and defense. He's getting 45 here, and the critical rate is being kept the same. However, one thing I can say for sure is that his survivability is going up significantly in this new uniform, because previously he only had 4 seconds of immunity to keep himself alive, which is on his 1 skill. Now it's on his 5th skill, which is a skill you're going to use pretty often. And then he has the 30% heal and invincibility, which is new to him. So that's very, very, very good in my opinion. Now we move on to the Arctic Warrior Sharon Rogers. This one is the paywall cash only uniform, okay? And these guys are shooting themselves in the foot. They want people to use the web shop, but they're saying if you buy stuff in the web shop, you don't get tokens. These guys are so stupid, right? They created a web shop to basically make it so that they make more money and try to transition players over to paying them directly instead of buying from Apple/Google, but then they basically punish you for paying them and not the third-party sellers. It's so stupid. Anyways, keep buying from the middleman is basically what they're saying. So now we got Sharon Rogers. Okay, let's see what the girl is getting. Honestly, her previous uniform was very, very strong and is very, very strong, but I don't use it that often because I just don't need her. So even if this one is, I don't know, 5 or 6 times stronger, I'll maybe if I'm a 6 times stronger, I'll use it. I ain't gonna hold you, but these days we rarely get those type of uniforms, but we'll see, especially since this is cash only and it's not a support uniform. We rarely see cash only non-support uniform. We did get one for Psylocke this year, and well, I guess we did see one for Rogue last year, but Rogue was ABX meta slash ABL meta. Psylocke is still ABL meta. She has never been ABX meta. She's not PvP meta. She's not going to be PvP meta. So I'm really confused as to what's going on here and where they expect people to use Sharon Rogers, but let's see. So chain hit damage 25%, she already had that. 40% damage reduction, she already had that. So basically 10% extra damage to boss types. So they're basically saying keep using her against the world bosses that they're going to keep dropping. That's pretty much it. Leadership is the same. Moving on to the tier 2 passive, 15% guaranteed critical rate, that was already there. Ignore dodge 35% was already there. 45-35 is exactly the same as the last time. The 4-star passive, 20% ignore defense with the super armor, and the all defense, same as last time. We got stun and fracture, incapacitation, paralysis. Honestly, for a character that's not ABX or PvP, doesn't really matter because you're going to be using her against the bosses and world boss and giant boss raid, and we only have one giant boss, and these effects don't apply in world bosses. Anyways, moving on to the third skill, Sharon Rogers is unfortunately staying the same as she's always been. So you get the 100% chance to be immune. You basically let the boss hit you and then you ramp up your damage and burst them down. It looks like the playstyle is going to be exactly the same. 3 cancel, 5 cancel proc on 4, and the reason why I'm saying that is because there's a 60% attack proc on the 4th skill. The 5th skill doesn't really offer you much beyond a 35% heal. I'm looking at this and honestly this is nothing special. So all I can say is they probably just ramped their damage up to the moon and back, and she's probably going to be the strongest female human blast character in the game. She has to be. Otherwise, what the hell is the point? If you're not like a mega whale or a person who just wants to have all of the uniforms in the game, buying this as your first paywall uniform is one of the worst mistakes you could possibly make. I don't know. Honestly, there's just so many other uniforms that you pay money for that offer more value. But if you love her, do what you gotta do. That's just my opinion on the matter. Let's move on to my boy Gambino. Happy he's not the one getting locked behind the paywall. Let's get into it. So first and foremost, this guy 30% attack on the uniform bonus. I like it. I like it. Give my guy more attack. In addition to that, we got some ignore dodge here, 30%, and a little bit of damage reduction because Gambit is a glass cannon. He had a small heal on the uniform previously, but that is fine. They moved over the healing into his actual kit. I'm here for it. Let's see. So on the tier 2 passive, chain hit damage 20% when attacking, same as last time. Guaranteed critical rate, same as last time. Skill damage, bonus damage is being bumped up from 32-15 to 50-45. So that's a significant jump there. And then we got critical damage on his 4-star passive. They bumped it up by 5%. Not that much, to be honest. I wanted a cooler 4-star passive for the guy. It is what it is. First skill is a V-pad. Most first skills don't get used that often since he's a CTP of energy / destruction type character. Previously, I don't think he's gonna change. So how often you're gonna use the V-pad on the first skill, we'll have to wait and see, especially when he has another V-pad on his 5th skill, which is what I think you're gonna proc on. But we'll have to wait and see. So damage accumulation on the boy's 3rd skill, which is huge if you ask me, because previously my boy did not, say it with me now, did not have damage accumulation, and he back in the day was him, okay, when it came to dishing out a bunch of damage. I hope the V-pad on the 5th skill is as sweet as the V-pad on the 5th skill that we have now, where he's in an iframe just sliding on meds and just clapping cheeks, okay? Here's still hoping. Anyway, looking like his rotation probably gonna be like a 3 4, 5. We'll have to wait and see. So accumulation 1%, love to see it. 30% heal, better than the 15 he had previously. We got an attack buff here, I love to see it. And then on the 5th skill we got silence, paralysis, and that is pretty much it for Gambit. So nothing like game breaking, but I hope he actually slides, you know what I'm saying? I hope he just slides and claps cheeks. That's all I can hope for at this point. Moving on, we got Hawkeye's tier 4 Robin Hood shot. They robbed him, okay? He gets an all attack buff 30% for 10 seconds, and then he increases all attack up to a maximum of 90% for 5 seconds when he's using his skills. Like, honestly, I think that's mid. I personally like Bullseye. I think Bullseye honestly can go both ways, or had the potential to go both ways if they had given him iframe ignore. I have to double check, but yeah, if they had given him iframe ignore, I feel like he could have slid both ways, because he gets the 50% all attack for 10 seconds, and then he increases basic damage dealt to enemies with 50% or higher HP by 40%. This is good for ABX/ABL. And then he increases his basic damage to enemies when they have lower than 50% HP by 60%. So when you're almost about to die, he gonna clap your cheek. So this is good for like GBR/World Boss. Honestly, it's good overall. I just wish he had like iframe ignore. But it is what it is. And then Gambit, energy in the cards. It increases his critical rate. Basically, he's just gonna be critting. He's a crit monster. I honestly don't know how strong this is gonna be. I feel iffy about it. Then Zemo and Cross Bizu getting Transcendence. They're not gonna get much use. It is what it is. I got Sector 14 dropping, and we're gonna be able to get Carbonadium. Honestly, I wish it was. Say it with me now. Soul of the Fountain, because that's the one that's the bottleneck for me, and I'm thinking majority of you. But I guess another way to passively get tier 4 materials once you clear it, I'm here for it. Moving on, we got the artifact. Bullseye's artifact, it's okay. Gambit's artifact, I would say it's very, very good. Increase basic damage to supervillain and aliens by 20%. That's sexy, because he's gonna be a world boss slayer. Anyways, I don't know why I said it like that. Then we got Zemo and Cross Bizzle. Yeah, they got decent artifacts. Ignore dodge and all attack is alright. And then we got the all attack and max HP increase there. That's cool. And then Sharon Rogers, they basically revamped her. She's keeping the same thing she had last time, and they gave her a little bit of extra juice against supervillains to make her hit harder in World Boss. Then we got Future Past coming out. I haven't bought those in years. I feel like at least a year. Anyways, I do like these though. Honestly, I like both of these. I like the Gambit one too. Oh man, one of these is gonna be free. I think the Gambit one is probably gonna be the free one. I know 2 of them are in the Future Pass, so 2 of them might be free. I don't know why Captain Marvel's one is there. Like, does that mean we have a Captain Marvel update incoming? I don't know. We'll see. So revamp, or a little improvement to the X of Sword system. That's cool. And then right here you can set your favorite character. That's cool. Quality of life change is always nice. Friendly battles are really good for Otherworld battle. I like that change. Next up, we got the acquire all button for your achievements. That's cool. I really like this change right here though. Being able to see which custom gear is active and have them color coordinated is absolutely fantastic. So green applied to yourself, orange/yellow, maybe I'm colorblind, is ones that apply to your allies. So like a CTP of insight or liberation, they will then glow this color. Like the destruction, the energy, the rage, the judgment, pretty much all of the other ones will be green when they're lit up, and when they're not being used, then they will be grayed out. Now this is one change I don't know if I personally care about, but basically when your CTP is active, the type of CTP will pop up over your character portrait. I don't know if I like it, the placement of it. Maybe they could have put it right here instead of right here on the character portrait, but it is what it is. You already know which character you're using, so them giving more information is better. That way, like when I do showcases or content creators in general do showcases, you never have to wonder what CTP the character is using. In addition to that, they got some game fixes here. But one thing I am disappointed to not see in the patch notes here is the artifact release for Null. I thought it would be coming in the next major update, which would have been in January, but the fact that they're doing one in December and they're not releasing the artifact for Null in World Boss means that it's either January or they're not gonna add it at all. Like, we'll have to wait and see. If there's an update in January/February and we don't see Null get added, like Null's artifact get added to World Boss, that would be crazy. I'm out though. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.